Hello everyone, it's Agata from Somatox, and I'm really happy to have you here. The topic of today will be the conscious breath, how conscious breathing shapes our emotions and well-being. To begin with, did you know that the average person will take around 670 million breaths in a lifetime, most of it without even noticing? Breath is our most accessible and underused tool for emotional balance. So in this episode, we will dive into this topic and explore some ways how we can use breath on an everyday basis in order to regulate ourselves. I will cover briefly the science of breathing, what it actually means to breathe, how it functions, and then I will move on to the relation between emotions and breath. Last but not least, I will share my breathing tips that maybe you will find useful as well. So what is breath really? Breathing is a physical act of inhalation and exhalation, but it's also a chemical process. You breathe in oxygen and it goes into your lungs, then into your blood. Your blood carries the oxygen to your cells, which make use of it in order to provide you with energy. As a waste, cells produce carbon dioxide, which goes back to your blood and then back to your lungs. You breathe it out with every exhalation. We could use a simple metaphor that breathing is both our body's delivery and cleanup system because it delivers oxygen and it cleans the body from carbon dioxide. This is crucial for our functioning and survival, and we basically cannot live without it. The whole process is automatic because it happens thanks to our autonomic nervous system, but you can also take control of it. It means that you will breathe no matter if you realize that you're doing this or not, but you can control the quality of your breath. And this information made me think how much happier we would be if we learned to use conscious breathing on a daily basis. Now let's focus on the relationship between breath and emotions. Have you ever noticed your breath getting shallow when you are anxious or deeper and fuller when you're content? Emotions influence breath. Every so-called negative emotion, including stress, fear, anxiety, makes breathing rapid and shallow. On the other hand, when we feel joy or calmness, we tend to breathe slower and deeper. It works both ways, because it's not only about emotions influencing breath, but it's also the breathing influencing emotions. By changing the way you breathe, you can change your emotional state. Breathing deeply increases the oxygen that we deliver into our body, and it enhances brain functions, focus, clarity of thoughts, and well-being. Conscious breath has a lot of advantages. It helps in stress regulation, decision making, and it improves the quality of sleep. In order to understand this, we should also take a look at the nervous system. It consists of sympathetic and parasympathetic system. So the first one, sympathetic nervous system, is responsible for fight and flight response. It basically activates our body in case of danger, speeds up breathing, it prepares you to react, which makes it difficult to think clearly, to assess the situation, and to find balance. But then there is the parasympathetic nervous system that is more associated with the resting, relaxation processes. It slows down the breath, fosters the calm within you, and it provides you with a feeling that you're safe. Basically, when you take slow, deep breaths, you are telling your brain that it's safe. It doesn't have to rush, it doesn't have to get activated without reason. And this can change a lot in the way you function. Because conscious breathing doesn't just calm you down, it changes your brain function. Research shows that breathing impacts the prefrontal cortex, responsible for the rational thinking. But under stress, the brain diverts oxygen to the parts responsible for flight-flee response, decreasing the clarity of the thinking brain, so of the prefrontal cortex. On the other hand, deep breathing redirects the resources to the prefrontal cortex, and also it reduces stress hormones like cortisol and increases oxygen flow to the brain. Also, breath influences heart rate and even emotional perception. And this is a case in real life, because I remember once I was talking to a friend about our ways to manage overwhelm and stress, and he told me that his best practice is just to sit down, close his eyes, and start breathing. It's a kind of meditation, but with a framework of conscious breath, which I also use. And this is exactly an example of science meeting practice. I'll share with you some of my personal tips, and I encourage you to try them and check if they work for you. What I usually do is when I feel anxious, I just sit down, I close my eyes, and I start breathing, slowly trying to feel the breath within me. The most useful technique for me, and the easiest one, is so-called box breathing. It's about inhaling while counting to 4, holding the breath and counting to 4, exhaling while counting to 4, and holding again, counting to 4. What also helps me is just to lay down with my hands on the belly and put some relaxation music in the background. Then I visualize the journey of the air entering and leaving my body. I like to imagine that with every inhalation, I give myself everything that I need, while every exhalation means getting rid of what is not needed anymore. Obviously, I also recommend you to go to a breathing session in order to learn proper techniques, to deepen your practice professionally, get personalized guidance, and stay safe during breath work. Remember that some breath work, like very intense or rapid breathing, can cause lightheadedness or physical reactions. So a trained guide ensures that you're safe because this person knows how to handle strong responses of your body. I think it's the right moment to tell you that some advanced techniques without proper guidance might actually harm you, because practices like deep breath retention, fast-paced breathing, or long breath holds can affect blood pressure, nervous system activity, and even emotional states, as I already said. For some people, especially those with anxiety, trauma history, or cardiovascular issues, or also respiratory conditions, these effects can feel overwhelming and sometimes a bit triggering. This doesn't mean you shouldn't explore breathwork. It means you should explore it with awareness, with gentleness, and ideally with guidance if you're going deep. Your breath is really powerful, and like any other powerful tool, it deserves respect. Conscious breath is about connection, not control. It's not about pushing yourself into calm, but about meeting yourself where you are, one breath at a time. Another interesting aspect is the combination of breath and movement. Because breath isn't just for stillness, it moves with us. Whether you're walking, stretching, dancing, or lifting, your breath is always there, supporting you, guiding you, and responding to your effort naturally. In physical activity, conscious breathing becomes a powerful tool for focus, endurance, and ease. When you synchronize your breath with your movement, something shifts because your body feels more connected, your mind becomes more present, and even challenging movements can feel more fluid. Inhaling can create space and expansion. Exhaling can bring power, release, or grounding. And it's not about controlling every breath. It's about noticing the rhythm and letting it support the work your body is doing. Maybe next time you move, like you go for a run or you go to the gym, listen to your breath and let it guide you through the physical activity. Let it be a part of the way you move through effort, with awareness, with rhythm, and simply with care. The general rule is to exhale on effort and inhale on release. So, when you lift, you push, you pull, or engage your muscles, exhale. When you lower, reset, return to the starting point, inhale. Exhaling during effort helps stabilize your core and prevent holding your breath, which can raise blood pressure and cause dizziness. Proper breathing reduces strain on the body and it improves control and keeps oxygen flowing to your muscles and brain. But always remember, if a breath pattern feels forced, just come back to natural, steady breathing, because it's more important to breathe than to do it right. As a yoga lover, I also recommend you trying Hatha yoga. In fact, breathing is a core element of yoga practice. Yogic breathing is called pranayama. Pranayama refers to a conscious and controlled breathing that matches the rhythm of yoga postures, so-called asanas. In Sanskrit, prana means life force. Ayama has many different meanings. including expansion and rising. There are, of course, various breathing exercises used beyond the movement. For example, Bhastrika Pranayama, used to boost energy levels, and Kapalabhati, which is practiced for energy clearing and detoxification of the body. There is also Ujjayi Pranayama, often called ocean breath, due to its soft and wave-like sound produced by the throat. Many exercises of pranayama happen in a cycle. Firstly, we inhale. Inhalation is called puraka. Then we hold, kumbhaka, and we exhale, rechaka. The mentioned breath cycles are very often used in yogic practices to influence the body, mind, and the energy system. I suggest you to try a breathing technique even today before going to sleep. You can note how you feel before and after, putting even more awareness into the way you breathe. The basic shift is just paying more attention, observing the processes that happen automatically. And it's not only about the breath, it's about many things. This is how mindfulness works. Just noticing the things with awareness, things that we don't even see on a daily basis. And breath is a beautiful tool to teach us mindfulness. Before we finish, let me share with you an inspirational quote. I took a deep breath and listened to the old brag of my heart. I am, by Sylvia Plath in the Bell Jar. This quote shows exactly the power of conscious breathing as a tool of being connected and present. So to make a quick recap, remember that breath is both physical and mental process. You can always use it because it's always within you. Whenever your mind becomes scattered, use your breath as the means to take hold of your mind again. In fact, your breath is the first thing you do when you enter this world, and it's the last thing you do when you leave. So the question is, how often do you honor it in between? And I leave you with this question. Now you have the tools that you can use in order to improve your consciousness regarding the breath. Overall, as we explore conscious breathing, remember this. Your breath is personal, individual, and even intimate practice. The rhythm, the sensations, they are yours, shaped by your body, your experiences, your emotions, and your nervous system. There is no perfect breath, no universal pace. What feels calming to one might feel uncomfortable to another person. That's not failure, that's feedback. That's feedback of your body telling you something. So conscious breathing isn't about doing it right. It's about noticing. It's about being mindful. It's about being present with your body, exactly as it is in this exact moment. Just experiment. Be curious. Try different techniques like slow breathing, belly breathing, box breathing. Let your breath be a guide and not a rule. This practice is really yours to shape. Make it gentle, make it real, authentic. Just make it yours. Here are the main intakes from today's episode. Firstly, breath is the only system in your body that is both automatic and under your control. This makes it a gateway, a place where unconscious meets conscious, where body meets mind. Secondly, every emotion has a breath pattern. And also, every breath pattern can influence emotions. The body and mind are in constant conversation, we could say. Breath is their shared language, and it's good to learn how to use it. Then, you can't always control your thoughts, but you can always return to your breath. This one act can change really the entire state of your well-being. Then, breath is presence in its purest form because it doesn't exist in the past or future, it only exists in this given moment. Breath isn't something to fix, it's something to feel. So try softening instead of controlling. Last but not least, you've been breathing your whole life. Conscious breathing just means you start paying attention to it. You don't need to learn it from scratch. You already know how to do it. So the power is already there. You're just learning how to listen and how to increase the quality of your breath. It's always here, waiting for us to notice. Again, conscious breathing isn't about perfection. It's not about mastering a technique or reaching a number of breaths. It's about returning to yourself, to this moment, to the steady rhythm underneath it all. Whether you're in a quiet room or caught in the noise, one mindful breath can shift your whole state. And the more you practice, the more familiar the feeling becomes. And that's the point. So take a breath, not to fix, but to feel. Let it be your pause, your anchor, your way to come back home, to come back to your inner peace. Thank you for being here today. I hope you resonate with this episode, and for all those of you interested in knowing more, I leave the links to the resources that I used to create this episode. Thank you guys. Until next time. Soma Talks, Agata teraz.